One of the questions I get asked a lot is about VA assumptions, and can someone, a non-veteran, assume a VA loan? And I've been waiting to tell you this, but yeah, you can. Yesterday I closed one. I got the call back in February that one of the clients I'd worked with back in August of 2021, who did a VA loan at 2.5% at that time, he was looking to see if he could sell his townhome and let someone assume that loan. And yep, so we'd spent February kind of now vetting and pre-approving the buyer on their own merit. And then they came up with a purchase agreement, price, and they were all kind of working together, buyer and the seller and the realtor. They had a contract in place March 1st, and it closed yesterday. So about 30 days contract to close. And I thought I'd share some of the fun technical side of that, just behind the scenes details, because it was kind of interesting from a loan standpoint. Yes, we do issue loan disclosures, prelim and final CD stuff. Yes, there is a closing. Yes, the real estate agent that was kind of facilitating this charged her commission and was paid just like a normal sale. No, there was not an appraisal. So buyer does have to be comfortable with the price that they're paying, because there is not an appraisal done in these. Now, if there was like a large gap between the price and the loan, you could use a second mortgage to get you up to a certain amount. Most lenders only go to 90% on seconds. So that lender would maybe require an appraisal if you were doing one. This particular one happened to be a condo, and there was no condo approval because we already have the debt, we already have the loan, so we didn't need to vet the property and the value of it for that site. On a closing cost standpoint, Bell charges a $300 assumption fee, kind of for us to handle all that paperwork. The VA does charge a 0.5% of the loan amount funding fee that goes to the VA. Let me think here. There is regular title fees, including a closing fee, which wouldn't normally be on a VA loan. I think the rule is you can't charge a veteran a closing fee, but you can charge a non-veteran. So there was title fees. There was no lender's policy. The buyer opted for a owner's policy, but there was no lender's policy. They collected a new insurance policy. The buyer got their own insurance premium. So we collected 12 months at that. How it worked from a payment perspective was also kind of interesting. You don't get to skip your normal payment per se. This happened to close end of March. So the seller, as part of the payoff, paid the interest for March. The buyer paid April principal allocation at closing. Their first payment will be May. Let's see, we collected HOA transfer fees and the dues letter and stuff like that. Yeah, it was interesting. I've never done one before, but this was here's some keywords the loan officers will appreciate. Non-married, non-veterans on a condo, 611 credit score. There is no minimum credit score. That was told to us by the VA. But there is a hard debt ratio of 41. So it's a manual underwrite, so 41%. I'm glad it happened. It was a fun project. Can it work out a lot? I would contend it works well if the seller and the buyer have some connection. Maybe they know each other. In this instance, they did. I don't know if you were a random seller that you would do that, because what really happens is, even though the liability of the loan is transferred to the buyer and it'll be removed from the seller's credit report, the entitlement is still intact. That entitlement is not restored until the loan is officially refinanced or sold. And when you kind of trust the other person, or you have some connection, you might be willing to do that, number one. I don't know if you would do it if you had other offers on the table, meaning cash or fresh financing. I don't know if a seller would take that risk versus just being able to have it fully restored and done and no worries. But you might, if there's a connection, you might, if it's the only offer, or if there's some type of financial consideration, maybe the highest offer by a sizable amount. Three, what was my other point that I was going to make was, whether someone does this or not, from a seller's perspective, I think is going to largely depend on what that original entitlement used. Was it a big loan or a small loan? If it was $200,000, in theory, that seller has $566,000 and some change of second tier entitlement to go purchase another home. If it was reversed and they owed $566 on this current loan, well, that would only leave them about $200,000 of buying power. They might not want to do that because it might not enable them to get what they want on their next loan. So I think it kind of depends on, what's the size of the loan amount originally and how much of that entitlement is going to be tied up. Number two, does the seller plan to go buy another home? Will they be using VA financing? Because if they have cash or if they're doing some other loan product, then it might not matter as well. Or if they're 80 years old, they might not be planning to buy another house at all. So you never know. I think all of those factors are going to play in if this is realistic to use going forward. But it is an option. I did the math, and this buyer, if you take the principal and interest payment of what this loan is compared to what current rates are, it was $100,000 difference. So they would have likely been looking about $100,000 lower in price point, if not for this, to be able to assume this loan. So anyway, fun facts thought I would share. Pardon the casual dress. It's Saturday morning. I am really trying to adopt the done is better than perfect 2 weeks from now mentality, and just get stuff done and share the content. So have a great Saturday. Bye.